This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everyone. Whether you realize it or not, we are holding on to tension within our body. There's things that create that tension in our everyday lives, and that impacts our health, the way we feel, our mental outlook on everything. We're going to talk about that today and really help you get in touch with yourself. Really, I mean, it sounds kind of rhetorical. Like, I know who I am, but do you really know who you are? Are you really connected within? This all comes from a wonderful technique that's been around for 150 years, and it's called the Alexander technique. And he is so proficient in that, in helping people with a better sense of themselves and feeling so much better as a neuromuscular and rehabilitation specialist. He's our professional of the year. Travis Chastain is back on the program. How are you doing today?
Steve, I'm great. Thanks for having me on again. This is very exciting.
I'm excited to learn more about this whole technique. And I can tell you, even before we met, I've been on a journey to better connect with myself.
Hmm.
Like I truly believe everything you need is within you. We were given it. It's all right there. You ask, you'll get the answer. We can't hear the answer though, because we don't know how, or we're not fully connected with ourselves, or we're distracted by all this other stuff that's out here around us. But it's kind of profound. Like you just, sit in silence and just think, go a little bit deep. It's like, oh, all right, that's who I am. But we don't do it. And you don't know it until you know it. Did you have that? Did that happen for you where you felt like you thought you knew you, but you didn't really know you until you kind of dug into this technique and more?
I'm finding out something new every day, my friend. That's the thing, We're
Yeah.
very deep. We're very deep. To say that we ever really find a bottom, I mean, there really isn't that, I don't think.
Hmm.
Every moment there's a moment to pause, to let go of tension. Well, more importantly, to get in a connection with what's going well, what's not going so well within your body, and give an invitation to let go. And then, yeah, you find you were holding stuff you didn't have any idea you were holding. You find something new about yourself every time you release something. And there's
Hmm.
always something to release. There's always something to release. We have this saying in the Alexander technique, it's a direction to get the head, neck, and back releasing in the proper direction. And it says simply, my neck is free, my head is releasing forward and up, and my whole back is lengthening and widening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you saying that to yourself as you release tension?
Yes.
Hmm.
And ironically, the trick, for lack of a better word, the trick is not to try to release tension.
Hmm.
The trick is not to have any interest in the tension at all, other than just to be curious about it. The trick is not to have an agenda around these words at all either, other than to invite them. And with that curiosity meets non-doing comes a little bit of a release, a little bit of a movement. Inevitably, it always comes. And no matter how free you feel in your body, it's a weird. There's always a little bit more freedom to be had. There's always a little bit of improvement in coordination to be gotten. And the paradox is it gets gotten by not trying to get. You know, it's very interesting.
Is it almost as if, don't try so hard?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my goodness, yes, yes. I mean, most of the difficulty when we have in coordination is that we're trying too hard. We're just trying too hard to get something correct. I mean, I keep coming back to children. I have a young daughter, and I learn so much from her every day. And I'm convinced that if children thought the way adults do, they would never get off the bloody ground. because we have so much to learn within that incubation period, right? We have
Hmm.
so much to learn. You don't know how to walk. You have to learn how to just lift your head up. Then you have to learn how to crawl and all these things, right? And, from what I see about my daughter, there's something true about how human mechanics and locomotion works. Is it comes from a place of genuine inspiration in something that you're looking at, and just a genuine curiosity, which propels a proper coordination of the body. When you look at a child, I don't think they're really, oh, I got to get this right, and I got to do X amounts of reps of squatting and getting my
Yeah.
legs
Yeah.
strong. I'm really excited it's done.
Yeah.
And then, there's this upward motivation of the head, neck, back, and then they move. And then they're like, oh, what's over here? Let me explore that. Right? No, what's over here? Let me explore that. Right? They don't get stuck on one little thing. Right?
Yeah.
We as adults, we get stuck on one little thing here. Right? This is the one and the only path forward to this thing that I want to get. And we never consider that, yeah, well, there might be that valuable thing that you want to get over there. You could go there straight. You could go there this way. You could go there that way. Maybe you could, on your way to there, decide that that wasn't the proper goal at all.
And that's okay. Oh, well.
That's okay. Yeah, yeah. And
Hmm.
FM Alexander, he coined this kind of stuckness, this goal orientation to the exclusion of all other factors, right? Which we get stuck in as adults, right? End gaining, focusing on the end goal to the exclusion of all other things. We do that. I've done it. I'm sure we've all done it at some point in
Sure.
our lives, right? But it has a consequence to the body. It has a palpable, observable, predictable consequence to the body. It tightens and shrinks the body in on itself. FM Alexander, when he was seeing what this pattern looked like in himself, he described it as a tightening of his neck and a pulling his head back and down against the spine. And it collapsed his entire back. Right? There's a shortening and a shrinking in on ourselves that comes from that way of thinking, Steve. It's inevitable. It will happen. Like if we choose that this is the way, the only way, and the only way of getting there, inevitably you're going to tighten in on yourself. Inevitably, you're going to negatively impact your coordination. You get in the habit of thinking that way, inevitably you're going to draw so much pressure and tension on your spine. You're going to run into troubles like I did. I might be the biggest end gainer of them all, Steve, which is why at 25 years old, I have devastating chronic back pain. We all have that tendency, but the tendency is pretty crippling over time. It's devastating to the coordination. It can shows up through the whole back, but it can show up in your shoulder. Why? You're collapsing your back. Well, guess what's happening when you're collapsing your back? The space that your upper arm needs around its shoulder girdle, it gets compressed in on itself and those nerves get choked off over time. You need X amount of space. You don't have it, and you chronically don't have it, your nerves are going to complain to you. Your nervous system is going to start getting very, very upset, and it's going to show itself in a number of things. Chronic anxiety, depression, chronic pain, a number of things that can happen to us.
Well, therein lies something we really haven't spoken about, where when you release this tension, that or having that tension can cause things like depression, things like stress. I don't think we equate it to that. We just think, oh, well, that's life, and I'm an anxious person, or I have a stressful job, and that's the way. But that may not necessarily be all that, correct?
Right, right. Well, think of it this way. This is a crude analogy, but I'm going to use it anyway, Steve. If a boa constrictor is wrapping around you, that's likely not going to be a very pleasant situation for you, is it?
Fair enough.
Well, what are they doing to you? The boa constrictor. It's preventing you from moving your rib cage.
Mm.
It's preventing you from taking adequate breath, which is manifesting itself in the I'm being strangled. Well, we can do that to ourselves just as easily. We do it to ourselves all the time, just as easily by not allowing the proper breath in and the proper breath out. And when we get tight in the neck, that inevitably is going to cause too much tension in the rib cage. And then inevitably is going to cause twisting and misfunction in the pelvis, right? So the pelvis gets misaligned from the rib cage. The diaphragm can't communicate appropriately with the rib cage, and you can't take the big, beautiful, gorgeous breath, Steve, right? That you're meant to have.
Is it possible, Travis, that you may take a deep intentional breath?
Yeah.
That's good. Hey, we all should be doing it. Kind of the reset, scientifically proven, vagus nerve, parasympathetic, all of that. Is it possible when you're holding that tension, your back in all those areas, that you're not taking the breath that you could? You think, oh, that was a deep breath. I'm good. Is it possible you could do even better by releasing?
Now you're getting into some big boy conversations, Steve. This is
Bring
exciting.
it on, because I think it's cool.
This is exciting. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, if FM was alive today and sitting here, I'm guessing what he would say in this moment is that what we do when we get in these habits of excessive tension is to overcome them, we add an extra layer of tension to try to force our rib cages open more, right? To overcome the feeling of tension which we have, right? And again, coming back to the baby analogy, because they're great breathers. If you ever looked at how babies breathe, it's just no interference.
Mm.
There's this big breath in the belly. The ribs are open and expanding and moving with effortlessness, like so, right? And so, from the perspective of the Alexander technique, we go at it quite differently. We go at it from the a priori assumption that you already know how to breathe perfectly and beautifully, just like that child.
Yep.
And deeply and powerfully. The question is, Steve, is how are you interfering with that in which you already possess? How are we interfering with that in which we already possess? And then it becomes a much different conversation. And come back to a little bit what you said is it's already within you, right? You said that, and that's perfectly true, right? So instead of thinking I have to learn how to breathe good, which in and of itself is going to, because of humanity's habitual tendency towards end gaining and goal fixation, which just draws us into deeper tension patterns. The more appropriate question would be, well, how am I interfering? And how can I let good breath, breathe itself within me? Like, what am I doing? Where am I free in my body and where am I not free in my body? How can I give just a thought, just a wish, just an invitation? Just a little bit of curiosity about how I can be a little bit easier there. Right? As it turns out, our thinking is the thing that draws us into tension quite more often than not. And if it's our thinking that's drawing us into chronic tension patterns, then our thinking can get us out of chronic tension patterns, which is really good, right? The trick is we just have to learn how to think a little bit lighter, a little bit less like an adult, right? A little bit less like a, adult who has 10,000 things on the task list to do that he has to go get done, right? And a little bit more from a playful place of exploration, a beginner's mind a bit on the subject.
100%. And right
Yeah.
now, if we say, everybody take a deep breath, very intentional deep breath, hold it for 4, let it out for 8, all of that. I guarantee, whether you know you're doing it or not, you're already thinking of 100 things you need to do, should be doing, all of the other. I know I need to breathe. Travis said,
Mhm.
let's take a deep breath and like really impactful. Like you said, the baby, when the baby's breathing, they're not doing that. They're like,
Yeah. Well,
and just
yeah.
enjoying it.
Well, let's do an experiment just on that, my friend. Because we can experiment with language that expresses what FM called the end gaining, right? Which is that goal fixation. And then we can experience an expression of language in the other way of thinking. There's only two ways of thinking: means whereby or end gaining. I can give you an expression in language of means whereby, and we can do an experiment now. We can see which one your body likes better. Okay, what do you think? You up for the experiment?
I'm not really sure where we're going, but I'm up for anything.
I know. Yes, I
And I don't
frightened
have any
you.
hesitation. I'm just saying,
Ah,
yeah, I'm intrigued, curious, all of that.
okay. Let's do an experiment. So you get in connection with your whole body from your head to your feet for a second, my friend. And the only intent your intention is not to relax right now, by the way.
Hmm.
Your intention right now is to learn. Like, just notice your whole body so you can notice what will happen when I give one of two directions to you. Okay? So notice your whole body with the intention of just understanding your whole body for a second. Not to fix anything, not to change anything, not to relax anything, just to know yourself from head to toe.
Kind of a check-in, would you say?
Just a check in. Now keep checking in and listen to your body while you do this thing. Take a big, deep breath. Okay. All right. Now remember what that sensation was like. Now notice yourself again from your head to your feet. Steve, breath breathes itself. Now just wish for a free neck while you let breath breathe itself in and out of your body. Now, that's a very rudimentary experiment, but tell me, what did you notice between the two?
When I was taking those deep breaths, I was feeling tightness in my stomach.
Right.
And
Because I gave you an order to do something. I gave you an order to do something forcefully through the language of deep breath, which is always going to bring trying. And then you brought intention. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's an important point that needed to be made.
wow. Wow. Yeah, because take a deep breath.
Right.
Tell somebody, um, you're fixated on the goal. All right, I got to take a deep breath. I got to do it. He
Right.
said I got to
Right.
do it. This has to get done. It's for my benefit, blah, blah, blah. So even though a little bit of tension, there's still tension.
Right. Now the other one, the second one. What did you notice about that breath when breath could breathe itself?
Didn't feel it in my stomach. But I am
Mhm.
going to say this, and it was very weird. At the base of my skull, upper neck, if you would, I felt like something. I don't know what it was, but I felt something.
You felt something like it wanted to tighten on you?
Potentially, or it was presenting itself. And I don't
Hmm.
know. And it was like two, like each side of my neck and the back, like just a
Hmm.
very odd, very weird. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't even thinking about my neck. I was just like, breathe.
Okay, well, you brought in some information about what the neck likes to do when we breathe, right? It likes to tighten. As it turns out, the neck tends to like to tighten on everything. So, and that's one of the main discoveries that F.M. Alexander discovered for himself is, my God, the neck wants to tighten on everything that I do. My God, why does it want to do that? Why does my neck have to tighten when I lift my arm? Why does my neck want to tighten when I take a breath? Right? It doesn't need to, by the way, but it tends to.
Hmm.
So a lot of what the technique is about is learning how to let breath in while allowing an encouragement to prevent the tightening. And then breath can breathe itself when that neck starts to free itself up, when the head starts to release into the appropriate space forward and up. And the tone of the back starts to lengthen and widen. So we can try another experiment real quick if you're game.
Sure.
Steve, breathing can breathe itself. I want you to be aware of the space above you and surrounding you. Do not try to reach the space. Have a little invitation way between your ears and behind the bridge of your nose here. Just the lightest of thoughts. My neck is free. Right. Steve, you have nothing to do, including close your eyes. Let your eyes be open. Way in between here, way behind here, and in between your ears, your neck is free. Your throat is free. Your head now has space to release freely. Right.
Hmm.
Are you noticing anything with that?
I guess best description feels looser. Like there's just by ever so slight. And I closed my eyes because I didn't want to get in my head, being on here with you. I figured, all right, let me, just we're not here together. That kind of thing. Just the same with eyes open. Um, there definitely was a difference. More of a freedom, best
Yeah.
word comes up.
That was just one thought.
Right.
Now back to the Starbucks idea. I can stand in line. You can stand in line next time you're getting, what do you like? Cappuccino, Americano? What do you like?
Um, I drink diet. I don't need caffeine.
Yeah, good for you.
But today they
Ah,
didn't have diet, so cafe Americano, no caffeine.
ah.
Splash of 2%, and that's about it.
Okay, so decaf Americano with a splash of 2%. That's your thing.
Simple.
So you're excited. You're waiting in line for it, right? There's a place to wait in line and give yourself permission that this is truly a place you don't have to do anything. You can really leave yourself alone in this moment. And we very much insist on that. Before anything can change in the body, the mind has to take its foot off the gas a bit so that you're not pressing into that sympathetic nervous system so much. All right. You got to give yourself time to switch. And then I can just give that little word, that little kind word to my neck. As it turns out, if I think it without trying to do it, the body behaves. And then I just recognize some space where the head would like to go when I'm not interfering with it via too much tension in my neck. There's a gentle balancing on the top of the ears, which automatically promotes a stretch reflex throughout the entirety of the back, which is why you're breathing a little bit deeper there, Steve. Okay. It's just that simple.
It's in my eyes, a very delicate balance. Getting into that sweet spot where you're not trying too hard. Even like you said, that amazing with the language when you said deep breathing. And I'm thinking that's a positive thing.
Right.
Is to breathe deep, but to tell somebody to breathe deep or to tell yourself, "Hey, I'm going to take a deep breath," you're putting stress on yourself and an expectation of hitting a goal,
Right.
just a deep breath, but it is a goal. And what inherently happens? Some tension.
Yeah, you end gain it and you force it. You force the action.
Yes, you
Right.
do.
Yeah. And I think that's, coming back to the original point that we were making that you brought in the introduction here, Steve, is one of the problems I think with end gaining is at the very least it's interpreted this way by us when we hear it, is that it implies that there's something outside of us that we don't possess that we need to go get.
Yeah.
Right. And then we start, dun, 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 dun. We got to,
Yep.
we got to work for it, man. You got to work for it. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you do got to work for it, but we work for it out all the wrong ways. Right.
Even if it's a deep breath.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
It's something because it was remarkable the feeling between the two of just breathing and releasing. You could feel it.
Deep breathing is a matter of alignment and just an atmospheric event. It literally is just an atmospheric event, meaning the pressures in and out is going to just promote it. If you just sit by and listen to, how's that going? How am I interfering? But it's kind of like almost like a coach to a player relationship, right? Right. You're the coach standing calmly on the sideline directing the players. Okay, player here, you're working too hard, buddy. Relax a little bit on that screen. Right? I'm giving an analogy, right? And that's what means whereby is you're casually observing from the outside a bit, giving direction, giving coaching, giving encouragement to the players in the game, your body, deeper levels of the brain directing the body to do this action for you, right? In the way that's appropriate, in the way that you want it to be done. What we tend to do and where we tend to get confused, and this is what end gaining means, is it's a little bit like Phil Jackson deciding, I'm going to take matters in my own hands. Michael Jordan, get off the court. I'm going to get in there and play. Who's better? Who is a better player, Michael Jordan or Phil Jackson? Michael Jordan, right? And who was a better coach, Phil Jackson or Michael Jordan? Phil Jackson.
Sure.
Right. It's to say that, there's parts of your brain that do better at doing automatic things. That's a subconscious. And there's parts of your brain that suck at that sort of thing that ought to stay on the sideline and direct. Be a good director. Be a good coach. Right? We tend to get it backwards. We tend to try to put Phil Jackson in the game and put Michael Jordan on the sidelines to coach. And then we wonder why our coordination is going to crap. That'd be why.
Gotta tell you, it's been clear what this technique can do, but now it's crystal clear. And that was just a small example. There's a reason it's been around for 150 years. Now I get it. Now I truly get it. Amazing. What's the best way to find you, Travis? If somebody's got questions about this, you can work with them as well, virtually anywhere, to release that tension, to feel better. And I never even equated it to issues of anxiety, stress, and all of that. But when you're holding that tension, not even knowing you're doing it, all that other stuff presents, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What's your website?
Yeah. My website, my friend, is www.bodymindbalanceco.com. You can find me there. I can't wait to hear from you.
Instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. Would love your feedback on this. Maybe you did the technique that we did with Travis a moment ago. What'd you feel? Would love to know. Reach out, and you're certainly available to literally change lives. Even just in what I've learned today from you, that major takeaway is we put these goals on ourselves, even if it's just something as simple as breathing. And it's almost you're giving yourself more challenge. Take a deep breath. Take deep breath. It's good for you. Yes, it is scientifically proven. But when you're forcing yourself to do it and tasking yourself with that goal, it's almost counterproductive. Because you create a little bit of stress there to make sure I deep breathe right. Amazing. Thank
Very
you
good.
so much for today. Definitely eye opener for sure.
Awesome, Steve. Thank you so much. It's been a
Share and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.